Welcome back to the channel, guys. The post spawn is fast approaching here in Pennsylvania. It has already started in other parts of the country, and today we're going to talk about my favorite technique to fish for post spawn bass. Honestly, a lot of people hate post spawn bass fishing, but it's one of my favorite times to fish because the one bait that excels more than anything else this time of year is topwater, and I love to fish topwater. A lot of people love to fish topwater. So today we're going to break down everything you need to know about post spawn fishing with topwaters. We're going to go through the different types I like to throw, colors, how and where to throw them, and what rotation you want to go through to make sure you're catching the most amount of fish possible this year. So stay tuned and let's get right into the video. So as I mentioned, we're going to go through the rotation of topwaters in today's video. We are going to go through what I like to throw as soon as these fish are done spawning, even with some leftover spawning. You'll have fry garters, stuff like that, all the way through different phases of the post spawn that these fish are going to be eating different baits. We're going to talk about why these topwaters work and the colors you want to use during that time. You're going to have fish that are going to go from late spawners to fry garters. You're going to have fish that go to eat for the bluegill spawn, the shad spawn. All kinds of stuff happens during the post spawn. All these fish are looking to do is eat, but they want an easy meal, and that's why these topwaters work so well. We're not going to talk about like buzz baits or whopper ploppers specifically because they want an easy meal. So you're going to notice that those two topwaters are not going to be on the list. They still will work for the post spawn, but a lot of times these other four we're going to talk about today work much better for me, and I have a little rotation I go through. So let's start with number one here. This is going to be one that's not talked about a lot, and that is a prop bait. It's a big thing down in Florida and a lot of those southern states where you get a lot of grass and stuff like that, and you have fish that are always spawning and in different phases of the spawn. In Florida, a lot of times you'll have fish that are spawning, pre-spawn, and post-spawn all the time, and then some fish will be done spawning, they'll start moving off, and a new wave will start moving up. That doesn't happen everywhere in the country, but that doesn't mean that this bait is not an excellent topwater bait. This is the first one I throw because it catches spawning fish and post-spawn fish at the same time. It will catch pre-spawn ones as well, but it works excellent for those first two. It will catch spawning fish because as you twitch this and let it sit, if you twitch it over a bed and let it float over top of a fish's bed, they will come up and get this. But more importantly, when you have fry garters, this mimics something attacking the fry better than anything else. So if you see balls of fry, you see fish up on the bank guarding those fry, all you have to do is throw this near that ball of fry, twitch it and let it sit, and they will come crush this thing faster than you've ever seen. They love a prop bait when they're guarding fry. It will work at other phases of the post spawn as well, but I'm going to throw this for a limited period of time, and it is solely going to be for late spawners and then early post spawn fish that are guarding fry. And then when I go to color selection on this, I keep it very, very simple. Chrome is going to be one color that I like to throw. You can get bluegill colors and other stuff like that. I just like to keep it really easy. On sunny days, I'm going to throw a chrome color like this. And then on cloudy days, I'm going to throw something with white in it. Mostly focusing on the belly, as we do with all topwater baits. That's all the fish are going to see. So this is just a pearl white, but you can get other ones that are shad colored, white with a blue back. It doesn't really matter. As long as it has a white belly, that's what you're looking for. So these are both the Cotton Cordell Boy Howdies. A couple other good ones. I know Berkeley makes a good prop bait. I don't even know the name of it, to be honest. And then one of the old all-time favorites is the Smithwick Devil's Horse. Those are the two that you're going to hear about the most, the Boy Howdy and the Smithwick Devil's Horse. Now my second favorite topwater for those early post-spawn fish as well, this is a good substitute to the prop bait if you don't like throwing a prop bait or cannot find any or anything like that. And that's just going to be an old school popper. These baits work excellent. They will work great for, I've thrown them for river fish here in Pennsylvania when we have small shad spawns. The bait is very small. Those prop baits are 3 times the size of this guy right here. So when the bait fish are very small and that's what the fish are feeding on, these small poppers will often get you more bites than a prop bait will. So here in the Pittsburgh rivers, I throw small poppers a lot. Another thing this does really well is mimic something that's attacking fry or popping and sitting over top of a bed. So this will also work in that same scenario. You have fish guarding fry, you have a couple leftover spawners up there. This is going to be where you're going to want to throw the popper as well. So oftentimes I will have both rigged up at the same time. I'll have one rod with a popper, one rod with a prop bait, see which one they like on the given day. Sometimes it'll change. All you're going to do with this is target cast to it. This is not something you're going to cover water with. Again, you're looking for fish that want an easy meal. So if I see a log on the bank, I'll throw it right next to the log, pop it slowly down the log. I'll give it a pop and let it sit. Give it a pop, let it sit. You're going to want to work it really slowly next to that log, and as soon as it's away from that cover, you go ahead and reel it in and make another cast. You can do the same with a clump of lily pads up there. You can do the same with a clump of grass that's up there, docks, anything that's up on the bank where you think there should be a fish there. That's where you're going to want to throw it and work it as slow as you can right in that area. Oftentimes, if you keep this in their face, you will get big bites because those fish are just looking for that easy meal. That's what those females are going to do. They're going to spawn. The males will stay up there and guard fry, and you can catch fry guarders doing this if you see the balls of fry, but those females will come out to the first piece of cover, and they'll sit there and wait for an easy meal, regenerate, and then once they're ready to go and start feeding more, we'll throw some of these other topwaters that they're really going to look for here coming up next. Again, colors on these, I keep it super simple. Again, on a sunny day, I'm going to go with a chrome color. It's going to throw more flash and draw those fish in better. And then on those cloudier days, I'm going to throw something with white again. This is a bone one, but you can throw literally any color as long as it has a white belly. That's all you're looking for. So my next bait for post-spawn bass fishing, I have this one tied on all the time. It will work for fry garters and stuff like that, but the key where these are going to start to shine, the first full moon after the fish spawn, the bluegills will start spawning, and that is when I like to throw a hollow body frog. You will work it around these shallow grass beds, lily pads, places these bluegills are going to go spawn. They will look for some hard bottom, they'll dig out their beds near these types of cover, and the bass will hang nearby. They'll hang on a dock nearby, they'll hang in the lily pads right out in front of where these bluegills are spawning. They'll do whatever they can to stay near these bluegills because as the bluegills terrorize the bass beds while they're spawning, the bass will terrorize the bluegills, and they feast on them after they're done spawning. And a frog does an excellent job of imitating bluegills while they're spawning. It's a great bait for fishing around the bluegill spawn. You can get bluegill colored frogs, and I do recommend getting some if you have some, but if you want to keep it simple, again, I keep two simple colors. I keep black as one color, and then white would be the other color. You're going to use black on your sunny days. It's going to stand out better, and it's going to throw that shadow, and then you're going to use white on your cloudy days. Again, you're going to have that dark sky in the background. That white is going to stand out a lot better. This one right here is the 6th Sense Vega frog. These are one of my favorites right here. If you want to order any of these frogs, you can use my code Quince. It'll be down in the description below. If you use that on 6th Sense website, you will save 10% off your entire order, and you will be helping out the channel a ton. But these frogs are excellent. They're a little bit longer than some other frogs, and what that allows it to do is walk in place. And again, that's what you're going to want to look for. You're going to walk this frog in place, keep it in a tight area where you think a bass should be, and it will really draw those big strikes in. Those fish will come get this. They'll think it's a dying bluegill. They'll think it's just a bluegill hanging around where they're living, and if it's an easy meal, they're going to come get it very quickly because that's all they're looking to do in the post spawn. And the 4th and final topwater, this one is my favorite one to throw by far, but I wait on this one a little bit because the other 3 will work better for a little bit. This one works when the shad spawn comes around. This bait actually right here came in my 6th Sense sack for the month. If you don't know what that is, it's a subscription-based program. They send you a bunch of their lures every month. You get more value than what you pay for. We got some crankbaits in this one, some jigs, some hooks. We got this topwater right here, which is going to be excellent for the type of fishing we're doing right now. We even got some plastics in there and some exclusive colors on some new released baits as well. So if you are interested in signing up for that as well, again, you can use my code down below and you'd be helping the channel out. This guy right here is the 6th Sense Catwalk. I love a walk the dog style bait this time of year. If your lake has shad, what will happen is the first full moon after the bass spawn is when the shad spawn will begin, and that is when I'll start throwing this lure. Early morning, it works for like the first hour or two unless you have a cloudy day, because the shad will like to spawn in low light conditions and they will spawn on hard cover on the banks. So you'll find rocks, you'll find wood, seawalls, any of that stuff. First thing in the morning, the shad are going to run up there and spawn. The bass know that. They're on their way back out to some offshore places. They intersect, and they will chew on those shad while they're spawning. So I will throw baits like this. I will cover some water with it. I will work it a little bit faster than I will the other three, but I will still try to work it relatively slow and keep it in place because these fish are still a little lethargic, not looking to feed too greatly. But if you wait a little bit after they're done spawning and the shad spawn is happening, they're going to start feeding a lot more this time, and they will be willing to chase baits a little bit more. So you can work this bait a little bit faster. If your lake doesn't have shad, this bait you will still work, but I would like those other three as well, specifically that frog, because you're going to have a lot more bluegill spawn action. The fish are going to know that's what their main forage is, and they're going to go to that. If your lake does have shad, that doesn't mean they're not going to eat on bluegills. You can catch bluegill eating fish, but you will have a big wave of fish that eat shad first on that first full moon. Bluegills will spawn multiple times throughout the summer. They'll spawn on every full and even new moon sometimes, so like every 2 weeks the entire summer. So you'll have fish that'll transition back to bluegills later in the summer, but you'll have a big wave that eats just the shad because it's an easier meal for them. There's a lot more of them and it's a lot easier for them to get. So that's when this bait will come out. Again, if your lake has big shad, I'll like to throw this catwalk right here. This is a pretty big bait. Not the biggest one they make, but it's a larger topwater walking bait. And then this one is the Dogma 100. It's a little bit smaller. This is also from 6th Sense, but if you have some smaller bait fish, it's a much smaller bait compared to this one here. And then for colors, again, I keep it really simple, but I'm going to throw one extra one in on this one here. So I'm going to definitely have, like this guy is right here, some type of chrome, a little bit of flash to it. There's multiple different options for chrome. Again, you're just looking kind of at the belly, but these baits will roll a little bit as you work them through the water. So they will see kind of up the side of the bait a little bit. After that, if you have really clear water, I'm going to go with some type of ghost pattern. The ghost color works really well in those cleaner water scenarios, almost like a pro blue jerkbait, because it just looks a lot more natural. They're not going to get as good of a look at the bait. They might not even be able to tell how big the thing is. Sometimes they'll just be able to see the actual wake it's producing, and they'll kind of key in on just a little bit of it. The cool thing about the 6th Sense bait here, just the head has solid color on the belly. The rest of this is all ghost, so that means they're going to aim for the only solid part they can see. This might be the only part that they can make out. They're going straight for the head on this bait, so you get better hookups with that. In clearer water, that might help out a little bit more. And then the last color I'm going to have in a little bit more stained water or on a cloudy day, or like I said, low light conditions. This is going to be really key on low light conditions, is going to be your white colors. They're going to stand out a lot better in those darker conditions, and it's going to look a lot more like a shad, all of them darting around up there. A lot of times those shad will have some flash to them, so if you throw something that's a little bit white and doesn't have flash, it might stand out just a little bit more than the rest of the shad and can sometimes get you a bite. A lot of times these shad spawns can be very large. There can be a lot of them up there, so if you can throw a bait that's just a little bit different than the rest, or work it a little bit different than them, you can get more bites and get them to target your bait out of the rest of the bait fish that are up there. That's sometimes a problem when there's too much bait in the water. They might not get your bait because they have more realistic ones that they can go eat that are just swimming around up there as well. So if you enjoyed today's video learning about some topwater techniques, go ahead and check this video out right here. I talked about some bed fishing techniques as well. I know Pennsylvania, there's still some bed fish, and up north you'll probably start getting some bed fish here as well. So those baits will come in handy before these ones do. Go ahead and check that video out. Leave a like down below and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more of my fishing videos coming up.